but good crop to grow in a hanging basket or out in the garden. As I said, it's sort of in between time for planting and looking after vegetables in the garden. I thought once we've taken the broccoli out of here, there's a lot of stories in gardening books about double digging, triple digging. The main thing to remember is that you need to hill the soil up when you're planting out your vegetables and make sure it's got plenty of compost and manure in it. Now there's still a few weed seeds in here. It'll very likely take me 3 or 4 years to get rid of all of those weeds. But we had no trouble harvesting broccoli this year, and with those weeds and a lot of other vegetables as well. So don't get worrying about the weeds, because they'll always be there, and you just need to try and keep them down and stop them from flowering, and over the years you'll gradually get rid of them. Into this patch I'll add some manure. It's still, just watching, you can see there how the soil is holding together reasonably well. There's a lot of organic matter in there, but I'd like it just a little bit more open. It's a little bit damp in this part of the garden, so hilling the soil up, the compost and manure in. I'm going to plant some dwarf beans into here. What else will we go in? Tomatoes, lettuce. A big crop can go in. All the, of course, the good salad variety of vegetables can go in. So I'll plant these later on after the show this afternoon. So don't worry about overly working on the garden, and you can certainly get good vegetables in at this time of the year. Spinach, well, they've just about finished. Very likely I can persuade Sandra to get one more spinach pie out of this lot. Terrific crop spinach, high in vitamins and fibre, good for the diet, and we've been harvesting those since last May. So a terrific crop. I'll pull these out after Sandra's taken her last harvest out today and plant in some more. But our little trick to show you today in the vegetable garden are these fellows, worms. Worms are one of the greatest things to use in the garden. Let me just show you. They're free fertilisers. You can buy a worm farm like this and duplicate your worms literally in 6 weeks' time. You get another 100% increase. And you just keep adding a handful of these into the garden. And they aerate the soil, improve the texture, and of course they make free manure. So you couldn't get anything better than a few worms in the vegetable garden. Now here's our garden diary for today.
A few things we can be doing in the garden this weekend. Check all your fruit trees for fruit fly. Hang a dack pot in the tree, and once you start to see some flies in the dack pot, you'll know that they're about, and if your fruit are maturing, you'll need to spray for fruit fly. Azaleas, once they've finished flowering, can be fed now, and orchids too, once they've finished flowering, can be repotted, and that's only if they're crowded, of course. They do need to be repotted every 3 or 4 years, will probably do. And brown rot of stone fruit needs to be controlled, and that's a fungicide spray.
And some shrubs to be planting, maples in cool gardens or wherever you can give them a bit of shade and protection from the hot west. Viburnum, the snowball tree, and there's quite a few varieties of those you might like to try. The bottlebrush from pinks, reds, mauves, and the white ones, you can be planting those in gardens for a good native bush garden effect. And the native Eriostemon, the waxflower, can be planted in a shady, cool garden.
Lots of flowers. Marigolds come in lots of different varieties. There's the Queen Sophia, which is one you might like to look for. Ageratum, pretty powder blue flowers, and they look lovely mass planted as a ground cover effect. Alyssum, and that's a nice little old favourite. And begonia, and the flower of the year is the Begonia Fair Lady.
In the vegetable paddock, pumpkins can be planted now, squash, and look for some of the squash that don't take up quite so much space for small gardens. Sweet potato, great for baked dinners, and certainly you can be planting those unusual vegetable crop. And beans, you've got the tall, the French and the dwarf beans, depending on how much space you have in your garden.
A few things on this weekend. Saturday, the Cactus and Succulents show finishes, and that's been on all week at the mall there at Wetherill Park. It finishes at 2 o'clock today.
And for bonsai people, Concord RSL Club have got a beaut bonsai show. That's at Noranda Street, Concord West, only on Saturday, and that's from 11 through till 5.
Lovely roses all coming into flower now, and there's a show at St Peter's Anglican Church Hall in Campbelltown, and that show starts at 11 o'clock.
And bromeliads, the Society has their spring show at Pennant Hills Community Centre, Ramsey and Yarara Roads, Saturday 9 till 5 and Sunday 10 till 4. A number of our viewers, in fact, have asked what is the lumps and bumps that are appearing on the stems of wattle. It's in fact a scale, rather horrible scale, because it actually smothers the stem and then exudes a black sooty material which turns into a fungus mould. You can spray it with white oil to control it, or better still, just prune the affected branches off.
Thanks for your company today, and a special cheerio to all those people up in the Northern Rivers district around Lismore, and our friends in Wagga too.
See you next week. Thanks for joining us. Bye for now. That's a terrible problem for you.
Awful, isn't it?
Hi, she's Colette Mann.
And she's Rowena Wallace.
We're on location for the AFI Awards.
That's the Australian Film Institute Awards.
That's correct.
It's glamorous, isn't it?
Not terribly.
Oh, we'll see you at 8:30 on Friday night on ABC TV.